Hi Fatima, this is Yeha, and so for today, I would like to move on to our new topic, which is a short story. And for like today and for some hours, we are gonna deal with uh, some short stories in American writers, and the first one would be O.Henry's "Ransom, a Red Chief." So, just to briefly introduce who O.Henry is, his real name is William Sidney Porter. That is quite interesting. And he is an American short story writer, and also he is known for surprising endings, witty narration, poetry, and nonfictions. His major stories would be The Ransom of Red Chief, The Gift of the Maggie, etc. Well, there are so many short stories of him, but today I'm going to deal with Ransom of Red Chief. And it is a humorous short story by O.Henry that tells the tale of two petty criminals, Sam and Bill, who decide to kidnap a young boy to demand a ransom from his wealthy father. However, their plan quickly backfires as the boy Johnny, nicknamed Red Chief, turns out to be more than they can handle. That is quite witty as I read the story. And instead of being scared, Johnny enjoys the kidnapping, treats it like a game, and makes life miserable for the kidnappers. By the end of the story, instead of receiving ransom money, the kidnappers have to pay the boy's father to take him back. Well, so this is quite a summary of the book, and after I read the whole book with you, the whole short story with you, I'm gonna point out some important facts regarding this thing. So yeah, let's start. The Ransom of Red Chief by O.Henry. It looked like a good thing, but wait till I tell you. We're down south in Alabama, Bill Driscoll and myself, when this kidnapping idea struck us. It was, as Bill afterward expressed it, during a moment of temporary mental aberration, but we didn't find that out till later. There was a town down there, as flat as a flannel cake, and called Summit, of course. It contained inhabitants of as undeleterious and self-satisfied a class of peasantry as ever clustered around a maple. Bill and me had a joint capital about $600, and we needed just $2,000 more to pull off a fraudulent town lot scheme in western Illinois with. We talked it over on the front steps of the hotel. Flam progenitiveness, says we, is strong in semi-rural communities. Therefore, and for other reasons, a kidnapping project ought to do better there than in the radius of newspapers that send reporters out in plain clothes to stir up talk about such things. We knew that Summit couldn't get after us with anything stronger than constables and maybe some lackadaisical bloodhounds and a diatribe or two in the weekly farmer's budget. So it looked good. We selected for our victim the only child of a prominent citizen named Ebenezer Dorset. The father was respectable and tight, a mortgage fancier and a stern, upright collection plate passer and forecloser. The kid was a boy of 10, was bas relief freckles, and hair the color of the cover of magazine you buy at the newsstand when you want to catch a train. Bill and me figured out that Ebenezer would melt down for a ransom of $2,000 a cent. But wait till I tell you. About 2 miles from Summit was a little mountain, covered with a dense cedar brake. On the real elevation of this mountain, was a cave. There we stored provisions. One evening after sundown, we drove in a buggy past old Dorset's house. The kid was in the street, throwing rocks at a kitten on the opposite fence. "Hey, little boy," says Bill, "would you like to have a bite of a candy and a nice try?" The boy catches Bill neatly in the eye with a piece of brick. "That will cost the old man an extra $500, says Bill, climbing over the wheel. That boy put up a fight like a welterweight salmon bear, but at last we got him down in the bottom of the buggy and drove away. We took him up to the cave, and I hitched the horse in a cedar brake. After dark, I drove the buggy to the little village, 3 miles away, where we had hired it, and walked back to the mountain. Bill was pasting court plaster over the scratches and bruises on his features. There was a fire burning behind the big rock at the entrance of the cave, and the boy was watching a pot of boiling coffee with 2 buzzard tail feathers stuck in his red hair. He points a stick at me when I come up and says, "Ha! Cursed paleface, do you dare to enter the camp of Red Chief, the terror of the plains?" "He's all right now," says Bill, rolling up his trousers and examining some bruises on his shins. "We're playing Indian. We're making Buffalo Bill's show look like magic lantern views of Palestine in the town hall. I'm old Hank, the trapper, Red Chief's captive, and I'm to be scalped at daybreak. By Geronimo, that kid can kick hard." Yes, sir, that boy seemed to be having the time of his life. The fun of camping out in the cave had made him forget that he was a captain himself. He immediately christened me Snake-Eye the Spy, and announced that when his braves returned from the warpath, I was to be broiled at the stake as the rising of the sun. Then we had supper, and he filled his mouth full of bacon and bread and gravy and began to talk. He made a during dinner speech, something like this: "I like this fine. I never camped out before. But I have a pet possum once, and I was 9 last birthday. I hate to go to school. Rats ate up 16 of Jimmy Talbot's unspeckled hen's eggs. Are there any real Indians in these woods? I want some more gravy." Thus the trees, moving, made the wind blow. We had 5 puppies. "What makes your nose so red, Hank?" "My father has lots of money." "Are the stars hot?" "I was at Walker's twice Saturday." "I don't like girls." "You doesn't catch toads unless with a string." "Do oxen make any noise?" "Why are oranges round?" "Have you got beds to sleep on in this cave?" "Amos Murray has got 6 toes." "A parrot can talk, but a monkey or a fish can't." "How many does it take to make 12? Every few minutes, he would remember that he was a pesky redskin and pick up his stick rifle and tiptoe to the mountain of the tape to rubber for the scouts of the hated paleface. Now and then, he would let out a war whoop that made old Hank the trapper shiver. That boy had Bill terrorized from the start. "Red Chief," says I to the kid, "would you like to go home?" "Ah, what for?" says he. "I don't have any fun at home. I hate to go to school. I like to camp out. You won't take me back home again, Snake-Eye, will you?" "Not right away," says I. "We'll stay here in the cave a while." "All right," says he. "That'll be fun. I never had such fun in all my life." We went to bed about 11 o'clock. We spread down some white blankets and quilts and put Red Chief between us. We weren't afraid he would run away. He kept us away for 3 hours, jumping up and reaching for his rifle and screeching. Hissed hard in mine and Bill's ears, as the fancied crackle of a twig or the rustle of a leaf revealed to his young imagination the stealthy approach of the outlaw band. At last I fell into a troubled sleep and dreamed that I had been kidnapped and chained to a tree by a ferocious pirate with a red hair. Just at daybreak, I was awakened by a series of awful screams from Bill. They weren't yells or howls or shouts or whoops or yelps, such as you expect from a manly set of vocal organs. They were simply indecent, terrifying, humiliating screams, such as women emit when they see ghosts or caterpillars. It's an awful thing to hear a strong, desperate, fat man scream incontinently in a cave at daybreak. I jumped up to see what the matter was. Red Chief was sitting on Bill's chest, with one hand in Bill's hair. In the other, he had the sharp case knife we use for slicing bacon, and he was industriously and realistically trying to take Bill's scalp, according to the sentence that had been pronounced upon him the evening before. I got the knife away from the kid and made him lie down again. But for that moment, Bill's spirit was broken. He lay down on his side of the bed, but he never closed an eye again in sleep as long as that boy was with us. I dozed off for a while, but along towards sunup, I remember that Red Chief had said I was to be burned at the stake of the rising of the sun. I wasn't nervous or afraid, but I sat up and lit my pipe and leaned against a rock. "What you getting up so soon for, Sam?" asked Bill. "Me?" says I. "Oh, I got a kind of pain in my shoulder. I thought sitting up wouldn't rest it." "You're a liar," says Bill. "You're afraid you was to be burned at sunrise and you was afraid he'd do it. And he would too, if he could find a match." "Ain't it awful, Sam? Do you think anybody will pay out money to get a little imp like that back home?" "Sure," said I. "A rowdy kid like that is just the kind that parents don't done. Now, you and the chief get up and cook breakfast, while I go up on the top of this mountain and reconnoiter." I went up on the peak of the little mountain and ran my eye over the contiguous vicinity. Over towards the summit, I expected to see the sturdy yeomanry of the village armed with scythes and pitchforks beating the countryside for the dastardly kidnappers. But what I saw was a peaceful landscape dotted with one man plowing with a dun mule. Nobody was dragging the creek. No couriers dashed hither and yon, bringing tidings of no news to the distracted parents. There was a silent attention, a somnolent sleepiness, pervading that section of the external outward surface of the Alabama that lay opposed to my view. Perhaps, says I to myself, it has not yet been discovered that the wolves have borne away the tender lambkin from the fold. Heaven help the wolves, says I, and I went down the mountain to breakfast. When I got to the cave, I found Bill backed up against the side of it, breathing hard, and the boy threatening to smash him with a rock, half as big as a coconut. "He put a red-hot boiled potato down my back," explained Bill, "and then mashed it with his foot. And I boxed his ears. Have you got a gun about you, Sam?" I took the rock away from the boy and kind of patched up the argument. "I'll fix you," says the kid to Bill. No man ever yet struck the Red Chief, but what he got paid for it. You better beware. After breakfast, the kid takes a piece of leather with strings wrapped around it out of his pocket and goes around the cave unwinding it. "What's he up to now?" says Bill anxiously. "You don't think he'll run away, do you, Sam?" "No fear of it," says I. "He don't seem to be much of a homebody. But we've got to fix up some plan about Ransom. There don't seem to be much excitement around Simon on account of his disappearance. But maybe they haven't realized that yet that he gone. His folks may think he's spending the night with Aunt Jane or one of the neighbors. Anyhow, he'll be missed today. Today you must get a message to his father demanding the $2,000 whispered." Just then we heard a kind of werewolf, such as David might have emitted when he knocked out the champion Goliath. It was a sling that Red Chief had pulled out of his pocket, and he was whirling around his head. I dodged, and heard a heavy thud, and a kind of a sigh from Bill, like a horse gives out when you take the saddle off. A nigger hat, rock the size of an egg, had caught Bill just behind his left ear. He loosened himself all over and fell in the fire across the frying pan of hot water for washing the dishes. I dragged him out and poured cold water on his head for half an hour. By and by, Bill sits up and feels behind his ear and says, Sam, do you know who my favorite biblical character is? Take it easy, says I. You'll come to your senses presently. King Herod, says he. You won't go away and leave me here alone, will you, Sam? Okay, so